Hi, I'm a man walking towards the camera, looking concerned about something. Montreal's parking signs have been confusing drivers since parking was only perpendicular. The Montreal parking dance is a common sight in many neighborhoods. Up the street and down the street, check the signs, where do they meet? Look at your partner, no vignette, let's assume that it's a safe bet. Finally, they walk away, 60% sure they won't be getting a ticket. So why is it so hard to read a parking sign in Montreal? Vignettes, zones that start and stop with wonky arrows sprouting from both sides of a post, trees blocking the signs.
You learn about the signs by getting tickets, basically. Because the signs and the rules change depending on the period of the year, the time of the day, winter or summer. So yeah, it's really hard.
So why are the signs like this? Well, first of all, we are dealing with a limited resource. Unlike other parts of Quebec and Montreal, there is not enough physical space for everyone living in medium density to have a car. It has to be rationed. And as a baseline, rationing something is always annoying for citizens. Someone has to lose. You're just deciding who that's going to be. But Montreal adds a few additional dynamics that other cities don't.
My car vanished. So I called the police because I thought that it has been stolen. And they just told me that it had been moved away because they need to remove the snow.
With leaves falling from the trees and snow falling from the sky and squirrel-infested garbage blowing through the streets, Montreal has a heavy seasonal safety and sanitation struggle that means parking in Montreal will always be playing the game on hard. But do the signs make it harder than it needs to be? New York is another city that has to deal with high density and street cleaning. They also get a bit of snow and their own unique set of challenges. Parking is still hard, but unlike Montreal, a more organized approach to signage is immediately obvious. In New York, you read the sign from top to bottom. Color coding is used to reinforce this, with the slogan, "Solid red, you're dead," used for the most important signs. But the Montreal sign is like a checklist where each item alternates from one page to the other. It's just harder to logically process without the structure. These revamped signs arrived in New York around a decade ago, and it got me thinking, why hasn't Montreal done something similar with our chaotic parking signs? The last time I was in Ottawa, I noticed they managed to at least stack theirs vertically. There have been several attempts to simplify Montreal's parking signs over the years, so what came of it? I asked the Ville de Montreal.
So we're using the same signs that other towns in Quebec. The thing is, it's more complicated because we have more than one signs. In fact, each post in Montreal has 1.6 signs in average.
So the biggest issue when trying to fix Montreal's parking signs is that they aren't Montreal's parking signs. They are the provincial government's. And not really a good fit for Montreal because large amounts of medium density don't really exist outside of the Montreal region. To get around this, the projects to improve parking signage in Montreal have been additional aids rather than complete redos and reforms of the existing signs.
The technology wasn't really reliable. We didn't find yet a way to ease the reading of those signs without creating more confusion.
So adding even more signs ended up adding even more confusion. This whole situation is like a little microcosm of a common tension in the province. We have a very different province with a very different city inside it. New York is a state with a very different from its city of New York dominating it. But the parking signs in upstate New York are very different from New York City. Montreal might want to add parking signs to the list of powers that has devolved to it as the metropolis of Quebec. But what if all of this is the plan?
We issue 800,000 fines a year.
The city didn't have the exact numbers, but if we assume an average ticket of $100, that's $80 million. Those revenues go to both the city and the province of Quebec, which does seem to create a disincentive to reform the system, right? But the truth is, although that number sounds big, it's just not that big when it comes to government things. The most recent Montreal budget was $6.46 billion per year, which would make parking tickets about 1.2%. And on top of that,
there's a lot of administrative fees to cover with those fines. You have also people contesting the fines going to the court. So all in all, we're not doing a lot of money with those fines.
So I think that the real reason that this problem persists is because not everyone is impacted by these signs equally. A tourist from other parts of North America will often not understand the street cleaning and vignette system, and the language adds a certain additional je ne sais quoi what this says. They also often drive everywhere out of habit instead of taking other forms of transport. So when an Anglophone tourist from the suburbs of Ontario drives to Plateau for the afternoon, they'll often be leaving with a ticket while the local just leaves on the metro. Another common parking ticket group are recent arrivals.
But I got my car, my own car. I think I got one each week, basically, for the first months. We probably spent around $2,000, I think, probably, maybe more.
Tourists don't vote, and new citizens like my friend Doreen often can't for many years while getting their citizenship. Even someone moving from another province has to wait at least 6 months to vote. That's enough time for those memories of your early parking tickets to fade somewhat, and that problem to seem like less of a problem. And in fact, the whole system starts to work in your favor. Because at the other end of the spectrum from tourists and recent arrivals are long-term residents, the masters of these convoluted signs, the owners of vignettes, and the most likely to vote. Fundamentally, there is not enough parking to go around, so we have ended up, in a very roundabout way, creating a system that gives the greatest parking advantage to this group. It's a system that doesn't work ergonomically, but it does work politically. So sure, we could totally simplify these signs. A municipal or provincial party could run on a platform of getting people around the table and sorting this out. But I think that there's a good reason why there hasn't been a big push on parking signs. The truth is, even though the profit motive is often brought up when you mention parking signs to people, the people who profit most from confusing signs in the zero-sum game of Montreal parking are those who find it the least challenging. The long-term residents who are well-versed, vignetted, and vote.